Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we are looking at player props here on a Monday with you guys in the NBA. Definitely want to make sure to subscribe to that page. We also have player best bets, in a separate episode talking about some totals and some sides in that one. And we're bringing both of these videos to you each and every weekday moving forward. So definitely make sure to subscribe and continue to follow along. Nate, let's go ahead, get right into your first player prop here. We're talking about this Philly-Phoenix game. Quite interesting.
Yeah, it should be an interesting matchup. We'll see if Embiid goes or not, but I'll take Grayson Allen over 13.5 PRA, which just seems like a couple, probably 3 too low for what I was expecting. He wasn't really limited at all in his return from the shoulder injury / concussion protocol. Clearly had been ramping up on the side, 31 minutes against the Pacers. And even on the season, in just 24 minutes a game, he's averaging 10.5, 3 and 2. So clearing this pretty easily. In 7 straight road games, he's gone over this, averaging 13.7, 3.5, 3.5. He's a guy, he's a classic heel, right? He doesn't surprise me that he plays better on the road. Wouldn't surprise me if he plays a healthy amount of minutes here because his defense will be needed against Maxey and Paul George, and Kelly Oubre might be back for the Sixers, and that's kind of been their calling card lately is getting those wings going. In 3 against the Sixers with the Suns, 18, 3 and 2, and again just 28 minutes per game, but no Royce O'Neal to split that defensive assignment. It'll be him and Ryan Dunn, I think, kind of splitting the minutes, and Dunn might start. But other than that, the Suns pretty thin in terms of like finding some athleticism on the wing. You'd like Embiid to be out so that you could trust more like small ball lineups would be going here. But either way, I think the Suns are going to push their advantage in terms of quickness and skill around and getting Embiid moving on the defensive end, right? And that'll mean Allen getting to the rim, shooting threes. The Sixers in their last 10 are allowing the 5th highest above the break 3-point percentage. They're also allowing the 3rd highest in the restricted area with Embiid, in and out of the lineup there. It doesn't really matter. People can get right by him. And Allen's just been a good fit with these stars. Like, I think it's so low because they're like, well, Booker and KD are playing. Like, there's not going to be enough stats to go around. He averages more points, more minutes, higher 3-point percentage, and more peripheral stats when either of those guys play. So it's just like you're the 4th option or whatever, but when you get the ball, everything's bent the other way. And you can just go out there and make a play. And Grayson Allen seems to know how to do that.
Yeah. The one thing I will mention that I didn't bring up to you before the show too is they're messing with the lineups right now. They're starting Dunn and there's 2 guys, new guys starting. Basically, Nurk and Beal are out of the starting lineup. And they're starting Plumlee and I think Dunn as well, but I'm not sure who the other guy is. Maybe it's Tyus Jones. I have to look at that again. But I don't know what that's going to do to the rotations. I just don't think it messes up Grayson Allen's. And I think that might actually be giving him a bump in the direction of being able to take a nice little juicier over where he's at. And I also like rebounds for athletic guards, shorter Josh Hart types that are coming in on the offensive boards against Philly. We've talked about that before, like forwards and guys that are good offensive rebounders that can leap. Leapers do pretty well against Philly as well because Joel and the centers are so busy battling each other. I think maybe there's some nice unders for Mason Plumlee. I think he's probably going to go out there and just hack a JoJo as much as he can, and that's going to be his whole job is just do not let him get anything easy. We have backups for you, and this Ryan Dunn kid looks really, really good right now. But none of that's going to take away from Grayson Allen. I just think what's going on in Phoenix is super interesting finally. And we can take a look at that moving forward, and obviously we'll revisit it. But let me get to my first look here and just go back to Mikal the Destroyer, man. I still think we're getting value every time I see Mikal at 17.5. Shoot, I got him 16.5 like 2 games ago because we just needed to wait for the news that Brunson was playing when he was questionable, and then it just went right down, right? And so 17.5, like this is basically going to be a 19 to 20 point score per night, every night, taking 15 to 16 shots every night. And if you look at the last 15 games, really everything started to click for the Knicks in the last 15 games, offensively especially, because at the beginning of the season, it was clunky, it was weird. Cat wasn't even taking that many shots, and he was taking too many shots, and Brunson wasn't getting his, and then whatever. But now it's very clear Mikal Bridges is the second scorer on this team, just pure scorer. Cat gets involved in different ways, but Mikal can get himself involved, and he's expected to take it and go and take those 15 shots, which is what he's been averaging in the last 15. He's also leading the team in minutes at 41 per game. He's at 21.6 points per game in that time, which is third on the team because both Jalen and Cat have 25 a game. But he's taking the second most shots, slightly more than Cat. 16 shots a game, 15.9. Cat's at like 15.7. But he's still second on the team in field goals attempted per game over the course of that last 15, like I said. And there's also these minutes that he's getting as the main dude on the floor without Brunson, which is beautiful. And I love it because he's getting about 8 minutes per game as the primary scorer on the team. Even if campaign's out there, it's to really, continue to just feed Mikal Bridges. So yeah, in those 8 minutes that he's playing, he's at about 21 points per 36 without Brunson on the floor, but he's upped his numbers with Brunson on the floor as well, also to 21 points per 36 minutes. So I just think he's in a really good spot. And every time they keep giving us under 18 and a half, it's pretty much just a system play for me at this point with Mikal.
Yeah, I mean, you were leaning towards him on Friday, right, against the Thunder, and you were like, I want to see if Brunson's out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Brunson was in, and he scored more. Like,
Yep.
It's another thing where you can't – it's not just like stars out, elevated usage type play. It's like these are guys who are more comfortable sometimes when they're a corner three-point shooter or they can play off the other two stars. And I think Mikal falls into that, and especially against Orlando, it's going to just load up on Brunson and Cat, right? And just be like, all right, we'll force Mikal to beat us. He's been lulling everybody to sleep with that slow start, and now he's cooking.
Yeah. And I just want to make clear too about Mikal. The reason I was waiting was about Brunson, but it was because of a better price, right? Because I didn't hit Mikal Bridges at 18 and a half where he was at, and I waited for Brunson to get announced in. That got bumped all the way down to 16 and a half, and that was an easy over. So just a little bit of patience there, so can benefit you sometimes.
And yeah, if you guys watch these closer to game time, follow Josh. He's got a live stream where he is reacting to this stuff and getting you the best price for sure. So I will take an under here for the second pick. Julius Randle under 20 and a half points. Don't want to add the peripheral stats because he is very involved as a rebounder and assister, but not necessarily a great matchup for that against the Clippers in general. I mean, they limit everything, and they're home here on normal rest. Last time these teams played, it was a back-to-back for the Clips, and they got dog-walked. But either way, I mean, they still kind of held Randall down. They've now limited him to 15 and a half in 2 meetings this season, and it's a clear trend where if you have a pretty disciplined defense that's good against the power forward, or even not, like the Warriors aren't even particularly good against the power forward. They've held him to 15 in 3 meetings. OKC, of course, allowed 11. There's quite a few teams that have had no problem shutting down Randall as a scorer because he's just not very efficient, and the Wolves are actually kind of trying to play through him more as a facilitator lately. He's leading the team in potential assists by a long shot. His usage rate is 23%. It's the same as Naz Reid, who's out there taking about half the minutes and being a more effective offensive player, at least as a pure scorer here. And I mean, Randall's shooting 43% on his drives in these last 4. That is 6th among the Minnesota Timberwolves, and shooting 27% from 3 on nearly 6 attempts. So other teams are happy to let him settle for that. The Clippers, one of the best coach teams in the league. I will often ride with Ty Lue in spots like this, and a spot being like just limit a guy who's kind of limited offensively. And Clippers at home, last 5 home games, 105 defensive rating. They do not give up free throws easily. Randall dependent on free throws. And they're number 2 on the season limiting power forwards. So it's not a surprise that Randall did not have success against them earlier.
Yep. And I'm just going to give you one more reminder that the Clippers are still good at plus 165, in my opinion, to win the Pac division there. Kawhi coming back. There's still bullets in the chamber. Like I said, plus money. This was basically plus 250 maybe like a week ago. And I just think plus 165 is just the outlook for the other teams in the Pac is so bad. And the other thing here with Randall, I love that you went away from PRA and just went to the points, because he is the point guard of this team at this point, with the potential assists, the touches, the passes made per game. Like, this dude is diming up. And if we continue to get like 4.5 or 5, even 5.5 for plus money, or 4.5 for like minus 140, these are numbers that I would play with Julius Randle on the dimes. But the points are clearly sort of suffering as a result of that, and the rebounds as well, which has also led to more Jaden McDaniels rebounds. So just some things to keep in mind with the T-Wolves, the way that things are shifting with these roles, right? Like Jaden McDaniels, more boards. Julius Randle, more assists, probably less boards and points. So I like where your head's at with the way you played this one. I'm going to go to Toronto. A little bit unknown here, but I'm going to take IQ. I'm going to take him over 6.5 assists. I do think this is going to spill into 7.5 before the game starts. So I'm fine with minus 130 for the 6.5 assists. Fine with putting 1.3 units on it to get the full unit back as well, because I think this is a good number for a guy who's going to continue to average about 14 potential assists or so per game. So needing him to get 50% of those potentials into regular assists is good by me. Basically, even though it's only been 2 games that he's back with Scotty, also without RJ, there's some things here to like. So since he's been back, clearly the point guard, not only 18 potentials and 11 potentials the next game, we're also talking about way more touches than anybody else. And he's the guy bringing the ball up. So there are those touches, but there's also front court touches where he's getting the most passes made, most passes received. Clearly just looking at him as the point guard now. I don't see that changing at all with RJ. He's just going to continue to spot up more. And this is not a good defense still. Like, I don't think anybody's really fooled by Milwaukee, who is just tumbling down right now after the NBA Cup as well. So I don't really trust their defense, but I do think he's going to get the Andre Jackson matchup, which is another reason why point guards have gotten a good amount of assists against Milwaukee. He's a very good on-ball defender and is not going to make it easy for you to get into the lane. And IQ, as much as I also kind of like the points, they're at 17.5. I think those probably go up as well. I'm fine if you want to take the PA, because I do think he'll be able to get in there and hit that floater against the drop defense that we'll see from Milwaukee in this one. So I'm okay with the points as well, but I can't get away from the assists at 6.5 when I think this number is going to be 7.5 moving forward as we get into the season where they're actually playing together. And last season, when he played with IQ, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett together with Jakob Poeltl as well. Make sure there's no Pascal Siakam because he was eventually gone. That sort of 4-person lineup there with Poeltl in there as well, who I think we'll see close to 30 again in this game. He's up at about 8.5 per 36 assists per game. So I think this is safe at 7.5 for plus money, but the real edge here is getting the extra bump there from 6.5 when I expect him to be at about 8.5.
Yeah, I think some have shifted it up here to like plus 130, 140 on the 7.5, and juiced up on the 6.5. So you're right on the cusp here. But yeah, I agree with the logic. Looks like RJ Barrett is almost probable to finally return here.
Yeah.
With the in and out with the flu for like 2 weeks now. So who knows how effective he'll be, but I think that's right to go with the assists here because RJ will take a lot of usage if he's able. But IQ still going to be a very effective point guard here in the Dame matchup. And look, if the Raptors have all 3 of those guys and they have Poeltl, like that plus 7.5 is looking pretty good at home against a Bucks team that just ain't worthy of much respect right now. I mean, who are they running away from if you can build a wall and keep Giannis from dunking all over you? They're just not very scary.
Yeah. Yeah, they got some bodies they can throw out there in that wall as well. Magbo and company coming off the bench. But yeah, I agree with all that, everything you said there too. And yeah, I don't know why that you would be favoring this team. Also, Brucey Brown back in the rotation for this team. It's a legit NBA team when it has its players, if it's actually trying. So we'll see what the rest of the season holds for Toronto. But that's all the time we have for you in Play of Props. Definitely want to make sure to subscribe to that page. Check out the best bets we have up as well. And until we see you next, happy betting.